need you to do one thing for me. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and every little counts. I do really appreciate you.
Another thing I want to do is almost unlike this, I want to do a podcast where I talk to creatives, because I have access to. I would like to use people around my peers and people that were in the same, so I can get their own insights. I can sort of distill it for the younger audience, and they can learn from their quote unquote their favorite designers. So I want to reach out to colleagues. Alpha, let me interview you on your process. Talk to me about how you design stuff. If it's not audio, but some kind of a way I'm journaling a lot of this information. I'm partnering with someone to join their agency and create an agency of our own, which is called Studio Really. So the person already has an agency, so I'm joining them, and we're going to run it together. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Instead of starting one from the ground up. Nigeria, and we'll most likely expand. Service people in tech, banking, and other departments. I want to have one for my personal play and one for like corporate interfacing stuff. So the software department kind of projects will be more in the entertainment, media, all these Nike type clients, all these chocolate things I'm trying to do. Then the more corporate like want to develop maybe you get, so that I'm not in a position, I'm not in a situation where and I'm feeling like I'm tired. So I need to have a play hub. I call it like play. Play is essential.
Okay.
And play is something that I think human beings, it is. People take play for granted a lot. Like, and you see it in every form of life. Like, well, not every form of life, but animals also observe some kind of play.
What's your creative process like, Niyi? I'm just thinking about, you mentioning play now. I know you also travel a lot. So, like, if you have a project, how do you go about it?
I'm a very immersive type of designer. I'm not trying to be fake deep, but I would liken it to something like method acting. So how method acting, if someone wants to play a character, they go and embody the physical and mental attributes of that character
themselves inside that role.
Like Robert De Niro wanted to pay a taxi driver, and he literally went to learn how to drive a taxi and got a taxi license. But in this sense, he went and got a taxi license. Adrian Brody, that won an Oscar for The Pianist, he cut communication from his people for like I think a year or 2 years. But I'm not that deep. But I'm trying to tell you how.
Did for top rate.
Exactly. But how I would liken it is that when I get a project, I like immerse myself. I sort of put myself as maybe the consumer of that product. The most realistic use case would be music, where that thing manifests a lot. Where I need to work on an album, I would listen to that album and take it in from the perspective of a listener. Take it in from the perspective of someone that is writing it.
Of one of your album projects. Let me find one. Okay, let me even find the most recent one. How was it working with Rema's project? Rema's logo.
Rema's logo was it was very good. I won't lie. It was fast, but it was good. It was fast, but
was
it
it Tife also that you worked with?
Yes.
Wow.
So I let Tife sort of lead this one because the major need for that project was the logo. And I'm not going to illustrate the logo. That's the first job. So a lot of what I did was provide the context and the direction. So I created the setting for what the logo would look like. Then it was not necessary to interpret it. Then obviously he would do some variations, would make some changes. But all we got from the information was Rema is working on something. We didn't know it was an album. It's being called Ease, and it's supposed to be inspired by Rager type aesthetics, bats, but not bats from like a vampire, bats from like a Batman type. So all those things, started doing research. I went to go and look at this movie called Athena. Athena is this movie by Roman, I don't know how to pronounce it, Roman Gervais. I'm not sure that's pronunciation, but he shot No Church in the World for Kanye and Jay-Z. He was one who shot that video. So he has a lot of imagery
there
that
was like sounds
mimics
in that song.
riots, unrest,
Like
all those
rave.
very aggressive. Exactly. People are
Yeah.
fighting. Start looking at what a lot of Rager logos look like Trasher,
Okay.
ACDC, all these different brands that have been in that territory. Because
Yeah.
you need to do that to know every sort of font or imagery has like themes coded in them.
Of
So
course.
it's
Of
easy to
course.
find like a collection of them. So you
Yeah.
can look for like, romantic fonts, aggressive fonts. So we're now looking more at like Rager type of fonts. We're thinking of how can we write it in a way that he and his would be the wings. Then there will now be something that will be joining them together. Tifa first of all drew a sword. We finally came up with the silhouette of the logo, which was perfect. Well, yeah, it was good, and we sent it to them, and they liked it.
They
Then I
liked it
think
from
it
the go.
went.
Like how many iterations did you
Oh,
have?
we did like. Oh, trust they did like the first set of stuff we did. We did like. I would say we did like 10 logos.
Oof.
We did 10 logos, but more of sketches. We didn't finalize all of them. Just the
Finalized.
sketch
Okay.
enough to know that okay, because nobody's going to flesh out an idea
Full 10.
completely.
Yeah.
Then you now hear, oh, it didn't work out
It's
and we
not.
don't like
It's
it.
not. It's not our
So
style
we'll
or
give you a
something.
sketch. Then you can now decide
Yeah.
that okay, this is what you want. Then we'll now move from there
Is that a similar pattern?
with how we work.
Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah,
usual
yeah.
process to like
Low
different
fidelity, yes.
projects?
Low fidelity first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Send low fidelity items first.
Like how
When they
many
make
options
changes,
on
they
the
can.
average?
It depends. If it's a branding project like more
Obviously.
corporate space, it's usually the rules. But with music covers, I tend to not go more than 3 options.
Okay.
I tend
You
to
always
always
have one
find
preferred one.
oh, definitely. I always have a preferred.
Yeah.
I always have a preferred one.
There's something that happens to designers that is usually
And
sometimes
they don't pick the wrong one.
they pick the one that you like
Sometimes
the most.
I do some kind. So the thing is, I used to do
I
that
think
when
you
I
mentioned
was
something like that on
younger,
Twitter before.
but I don't do that anymore because I find
Yeah.
it very unfair. Because
Yeah.
I'm sort of as a lot of I think one of these designers don't realize that clients know what they want. They just don't know how to
How to express
communicate it in your own language. They are not stupid. The client knows what they want. Unless the client has visibly and vividly told you they don't know what they want. So a client knows that they want a horse on a trampoline. It might be outlandish, but it's now your job to find the most realistic version of that idea that when they put it out, it doesn't look stupid. But you're not supposed to like discredit what they want. So I try not to impose like my ideas on the client. I try to make sure that whatever I'm doing is what the client actually wants. There are some instances where I feel very convicted and I just let the client know that see, I'm giving you this work, but this is how I feel. I think this is where you should go. But if you don't want to go that route, that's fine. But this is what me, I think, based on my own knowledge and my experience. But I'm not going to force you to go that route because ultimately you know what you want. But I also have enough knowledge to discern that this thing you want might not do well. And I should be able to also give you like facts and details. I can't just be sentimental and say clients chose a wrong logo, it's ugly. No. You need to like clients are not designers. Design is a very it's very context heavy, like it's specific to what you've learned. So you can't assume that you've spent all this time learning about design. Then you want somebody who has not learned about design to just automatically speak your language. Your job as a designer is to educate the clients if they don't. It's just that because the standard level of how we consume design in Nigeria is not enough for us to have a baseline of education of design. So that's why clients run into trouble of knowing how to. We don't really use design in our day-to-day functions like that. For the average person to know that this thing is going to be important. And sometimes they'll just say it's not just graphics because they can't
They don't
see the
understand the
methodology
process.
of.
They don't understand the process at all.
They're just seeing the aesthetics, and because aesthetics to work on a project you can take like 75% process, then 25 aesthetics. They just come at the latter end and see that you've done a logo.
Yep.
But it's not also your own job to explain why this logo works with their business, why this logo services their target market, why you think this.
I had to go and study. I had to go and take a course on the history of graphic design, and in like being able to dissect the design. You know, I keep telling. There was one time we used to talk about like design principles. It used to be like, the science side of design.
Yeah.
I had to go and take a course because at some point, like I was working with designers, and when I want to criticize work, I'm like, this thing is not right. But to be able to communicate, you know, to a designer so that it doesn't sound like it's my bias, you know, against your, you know, style or something.
Yeah.
To understand that in depth, I'm still writing off that, you know, people not being able to communicate, you know, clients not being able to communicate design or what their expectations are, and the work of a designer to take the little you know, hints or the little hints they give you and being able to interpret that into like something that is close to what they are expecting, right? So like the work that goes beyond this, behind the scenes for a designer, like for you now, you mentioned like doing like 75% research, for example. People don't understand how much work has gone on behind the scenes. They just see the results. So like, what do you have to say to like, you know, designers in terms of like taking time to, you know, research and, you know, because you are well versed in so many things. You've spoken about music influences, all the names that you keep mentioning. I can barely remember 10% of them, and I know you haven't even skimmed the surface. And it just goes to tell how much in depth of, you know, a researcher and curiosity, you know, your curiosity, you know, and so like how did you get to this point? You know, was it a process? Are you still trying to like learn, and, you know, how does it go? How do you do it?
I think it ties into my personality of or like how I grew up. I tell people a lot that I grew up in a house where an extended family, so you have uncles, aunties, and because there's so many people, you sort of learn to think on the spot. Because you know how like Yoruba households are, when they call you, if you are not smart enough, they can hit you like, so you tend to like, so you tend to learn how to like think like,
think on your feet.
Did you wash your clothes today? You tend to, you think on your feet. So and because of that thing, you have to like simplify things so that I can easily just communicate easily. So that thing you're referring to now is me. Once I get an idea, I break it down to its most simplest form so that I can consume it. Again, the perfect example would be music. The average album cover on a normal day has an image. Now, is that image is abstract, or is photography, or is illustrated? But an album cover is going to have some kind of imagery. If it doesn't have some imagery, it's going to at least have a font. So already that's typography. There's already the image side. Your album cover is going to have some form of color, because humans see color, whether it's black, yellow. So now you know that every album cover is made up of probably image, color, and typography. The last thing that you don't see in an album cover is the context and the tone, because it's not something that's tangibly visible. It's more of like abstract. So you would know that The Weeknd is talking about violence because there's blood and it's red, and there's the area is, you get, so that's this thing. So those 4 elements already. So when they give you an album cover project, I now think of it from 4 different elements. So I'm now able to create research on those 4 different elements. Now let's do like a breakdown of an album cover. I love to use After Hours because it's the most straightforward album, this thing. After Hours now, the imagery for
The Weeknd, isn't it?
The Weeknd, yes.
Yeah.
The imagery for After Hours is very based on 90s thriller, noir, all this, somebody's in the dark smoking, then you see blood, all these slasher violence movies where a babe enters an elevator, the lights go out. By the time the light comes out, the evil person is behind her. You know, those kind of outlandish horror movies. That's what inspired the thing. So that's already the context, this thing. The color is already red. Danger. There's a lot of neon colors.
Where did you get this information from? Did you
He's
interpret them
observing
yourself, or did
it.
you like find case studies?
I feel like it's very obvious. And I've seen some case studies, but it's so obvious because the album talks about, the album is basically about hedonism. It's about a star who has become so famous that they've taken in too much of the pleasures. That's why blinding lights is literally telling you he's blinded by the lights, which meaning he has taken drugs and everything is so down to the, so blinding lights. The music video was inspired by a film called Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, which Johnny Depp starred in, and in that movie they took LSD. They took LSD and they were tripping. So you know the context. There's a lot of drugs. There's heartbreak. You know, so when he was chasing fast life, you go to the typography again based on fonts are usually classified in themes. That's why if you go to any font site, you see space, sports, college, all those things. Once the theme is already about thriller and there's blood, the font is already in that territory. So a lot of the fonts they use, it reminds me of all this Michael Jackson Thriller, all this Evil Dead, all those experiences. The other thing left, the imagery, you saw him, he embodied the character. He was wearing red, there was always blood, there was bandage. The more he did his rollout, the more the bandage started getting worse. At some point, you notice he started doing this plastic surgery thingy where his face was beat up. So by the time you put all these things together, you have your album art direction. And if you now apply transmedia marketing, which is basically telling the same story through different channels. An example now, go and look at Tyler's new album, Chromacopia. To announce the vinyl, that he's selling vinyl, you saw the way he shot the video where he was using the vinyl. To announce the tour, he showed some of those people entering a plane. So he's telling the same story, but he's using different mediums. Tomorrow now, he's probably going to do like an online game thingy. His last album there was an online ID card generator where you could make your own Tyler the Creator ID card. So all these little pockets of experiences that still tie back to the general marketing of everything. So you just have to, again, reductionism. This thing is some large concepts. Break it into parts. Once you can attack all the parts from different sides, by the time you bring it back together, you have your full experience. Because you've accounted for the color, you've accounted for the image, you've accounted for the font, you've accounted for a lot of things, and you can answer those things independently, and you can see where they connect together as an ecosystem.
Do you have? I know you definitely have favorite projects like so far.
I'll say Palmine Music 3. Yeah, I really like that one. That was the first time I worked with Tife.
Oh wow, yeah.
No, actually, that was the second time I worked with Tife. The first time I worked with Tife was YKB San Siro. San Siro. I also enjoyed San Siro because before YKB met me, he didn't know I was a Milan fan. And San Siro is Milan's stadium.
Is YKB a Milan fan?
No. But do you know why I call it San Siro? He called it San Siro because he doesn't even watch ball. He only called it San Siro because there was a pitch near his house where he lives that they used to go and play ball. And they used to call it San Siro. So he came to me and said he has this song that he wants to work on. And he said the name is San Siro. And I'm like, that's my club stadium now. What do you mean? So it was just sweet for me. I was able to now research on my club and now apply it. You get club. So it was we'll see.
No, you guys are trying
yeah, I mean, you haven't won the league in like 5 years, but it's fine. Yeah. So it was a very funny coincidence. I was like, I'm a Milan fan now, so it makes sense. I like the show.
I mean, it's obvious you put your soul into that project, because I'm looking through it now, like the way you interpreted the San Siro breakdown, his imagery. Oh my god, the way he did his image treatment. It just communicated it like it was so easy. And I think you even did some personal exploration on it as well, yeah?
Oh yeah. I started doing jerseys, stickers. Jerseys.
Because I'm like, this thing can go as far as you want it. If
I always try to show people that.
So do you actually? So imagine this kind of project. Did you actually get? Because I'm seeing the case study, the post now on your social media page, and Did you actually, were you briefed to create this extensive case study?
So it wasn't like I was brief. It was just like, what can we do? So as much as it was a client's project, it was more of like I was collaborating with him. So I've explained that in the sense that it wasn't just I'm paying you to do my work. It was like I want to give, like, what do you think? So we saw it was paying me obviously, but we worked on it collaboratively. So we just said, what are the things we can actually explore that we can expand, this rollout.
Wow.
It's already football themed.
Is there actually room for these things actually happening? Like these things actually, like for example, like the merch. Is there actually room for anything like this? Really?
Yeah, they could have, but it just didn't happen then. But like if it was on a good day, it would have happened. Yeah. You never know.
Wow.
Like,
you never know.
The Weeknd is selling a sweet lollipop based on the logo of his this thing. Those are interesting. He's selling business. He's selling playing cards
about these things. Like,
I love the Weeknd.
Nigerian brands,
musicians.
Point in case musicians. You tweeted frustratingly about obviously one would know when you are working on a project, and it seems the picture that you always paint is like you're lamenting, like Nigerian musicians don't understand the potential of branding, like they don't understand it. I'm just like, Niyi is working with one troublesome client.
It's not like they don't understand, it's more like they can't seem to, if it's not remotely bringing money back, they can't see why they don't understand that this is something like you do for perception, to create like branding. They can't convert it to sales. You get, there's no direct conversion of, because normally if you brand your stuff if you direct yourself as a musician very well, it gives you more, opens you to like an audience that will consume some type of new information, whether you're doing comics or you're doing film or you're doing merch or you're doing music video. But because that's how I see that, because I feel like they think that if they spend money on this, it's not going to translate to, so they rather focus money on things like their shows revenue. You get and people forget that people want to have memorabilia from their favorite artists. I was going to have a t-shirt from Kanye West that says I was at MSG on the blah 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 2024. So when I'm in my 60s or whatever, I can look at them like, yeah, I remember where I got this shirt. Those are time capsules that people don't realize. There's some people that buy tour merch and they have their tour merch from when maybe the Beatles came to London in 1960. Those kinds of things. If and music has reached a point where it's not just music again. It's 360. You need to have other experiences that will tell the narrative. People are shooting album trailers now. They're shooting a whole full-length video just to announce that an album is coming. That's how much music marketing has changed. So why don't you want to tap into that? I mean, we're seeing progress now. Ashake's album video was crazy. The tour video, that was amazing. Wizkid too has started doing stuff like that. Davido too. And the reason why I always say these older guys, the OGs, should do it is because the people that are looking up to them will now see it as a standard of, if I want to do this are like it's because of people like Davido that you have people that are doing certain things. It's because of people like Wizkid, Burna Boy, Kanye West, Bob Marley, because they set a precedence that okay, this is how to do it. So other people follow them. Look at Pharrell now. Tyler the Creator is almost like a younger version of Pharrell. And because Pharrell exists, Tyler has said, okay, you don't have to be a gangster rapper too. You can also adopt a nice personality and almost clean image and make music, and But it's the same way you also have people like Kanye West and you have people like Travis Scott that almost they're like a younger Kanye West, Then you have people inspire people in pockets and they keep inspiring people and it becomes a standard. A lot of philosophies that we use now, It's people that kept on repeating it. Pythagoras has been dead since, but it's because we constantly educate people that that theory keeps preserving generations and generations. These guys were, I think, AD or BC, but somehow are still using the knowledge that they had then, because a certain group of people are preserving it. So it just makes sense that we, inspire the next. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, can we backtrack a
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah.
Still on the influences now. So like, how was you made reference to growing up and like growing up in a what's it called? Like, an extended family, like a typical Yoruba
Large
family.
household.
How was that
Yeah.
like? And how was it like for you? I know you had.
I think it was
Go on,
one of
go
the
on.
it was one
Yeah.
of the things that fostered my curiosity, because again, I'm living with uncles,
Where was it?
aunties,
Where
so
did
I,
you grow
I
up? Where
was
did you grow up precisely?
Bagada, Lagos. Lagos,
Gagada, of
Bagada.
course. And you
Bagada.
still live in Gagada.
Yes, I love you here.
Yeah, yeah,
Um I think at that point of my own existence, I was
mm.
the youngest grandchild. So I didn't have
That's
any.
true.
Yeah, I'm last one. So
Yeah,
everybody was much older. So everybody sort of like went about their day, and I sort of
yeah.
got.
Were you spoiled?
Don't get me wrong. No, I'm not
Were
sports.
you spoiled?
Don't get me wrong.
Are you,
I was
are you
sports.
sure?
I wasn't actually was sports.
You can't say you're
No, I
spoiled.
grew
You
up in.
can't. Do you
No,
think
I
you
wasn't
were
sports.
privileged?
Everybody's privileged if we're looking at it from that lens. If we think about it, everybody's privileged in context to somebody else's this thing. If you're saying the average Nigerian upbringing,
Yeah.
I would say that I don't think I had a privileged upbringing, but I had a very okay. We were not suffering, but we were also not balling. It was
Yeah.
the definition of actual middle class, when there was a middle class.
Yeah.
That's where
Back then,
we
when
were.
there was.
The reason why it could have been worse, because my dad died very early. But we now moved back to my grandparents' place. So that's why I lived in Bagada. So as I said, I was raised by a lot of people. So my mom could go to work and my grandma would raise me. Or my uncle would
Yeah.
take
I
care
know
of me.
you often
So I was raised by
visit your
multiple
grandma.
people.
Yeah.
Because she was one that raised
How
me.
was how was that impact? What was that impact like?
My grandma was a very quiet personality. But I think the thing I got from her was discipline. She just taught us discipline in many ways. We Because she reached a certain level of education, there was always like, I would say there's a limit to the kind of conversations we could have had. So we had good conversations, but I never really like spoke to her about my work, because I couldn't explain it. You get, like, I didn't know how to explain the idea of graphics. I can explain that I do. It's like, how it is now, Nigeria.
I
Like,
get it.
you just lump
Yeah.
it into Oman computer work.
Uh-huh.
He gets like he does
Yeah.
computer work. So I couldn't really, but with my mom and every other person, I could still explain
Yeah.
the deeper context of, I'm a graphic designer. People pay me to do this. So a lot of that. But my grandma raised me, and I grew up as a very curious child. My granddad was a chartered accountant, so he read a lot, and we had a library. A lot of the things that are in that library, I consumed a lot of information. I know all this, who invented this, who was the president of this, when
you
did this,
definitely
all
do
this.
that. You definitely do.
Yet, so I was just left alone to just be
So
downloading
that kind
information.
of influenced your curiosity, innit?
Curiosity. Like, I would just read the
Yeah.
encyclopedia from beginning to end, and I would just download the information. Then I started drawing, because my uncle used to draw, my brother would draw, my other brother would draw, my mom could draw.
Wow.
So I picked
I
up
never
drawing.
knew
I started
that.
drawing at an early age.
So
Oh yeah,
your
everybody,
drawing
man.
influence is also influenced by your siblings and your family.
Yes.
I didn't
Yes.
know.
That's why I started drawing.
Wow.
Yeah. It's all those ones where everybody's drawing. Like, me too, I want to draw now. I have a book. I can send you the
And you're so
picture
damn
after.
good at it.
I have a book
Yeah.
when I drew Batman when I was, I think, 6 years
You
old.
were in secondary.
My mother kept it.
Before secondary. Okay.
6
Jeez.
years old. I have a drawing of Batman. Well, that's why I used to draw in secondary school, because I didn't know how to draw before I even got to secondary school. But
Yeah.
I still draw now, but I'm more of illustrate ideas. I don't draw like I want to draw. And I don't know why I did. I honestly wish I had studied. I took fine art seriously in ISOU because I would have
never
learned the
did
basics
fine art
of.
properly anyway. I actually regret that
To
fact
be
that we didn't
fair,
do fine
to be
arts
fair,
like properly.
to be fair,
Because yeah,
even
I would
music
have
too.
even music. I swear, yeah.
Yeah, I
But
wish
I
I had.
mean, you're here. We're here.
No, yeah, I
We are
don't
all part of.
regret.
Yeah, no
I don't
regrets. No
regret any
regrets.
decision. If there
Yeah.
was anything, I would have gone to Yaba Tech. If anything, if there's one
Hmm.
thing I would go back in my life and change, I would have gone to Yaba
Really?
Tech for sure.
Hmm.
Yes, I would have gone to a technical school
Why?
for
Why?
because, and I'm not dissing CU, but a lot of the knowledge I got from Covenant University, I did not directly translate it to what I'm doing now.
Hmm.
I think what I really got from Covenant University was the network of people and
Which is
having access to a school where you could, yeah, where you could also learn stuff. CU's internet was a core part of what made me a designer because I was able to download tutorials and I'm not bashing Masscom. I didn't particularly want to do Masscom. I just went to Masscom because I didn't want to do mathematics. And as luck will have it, I ended up doing statistics.
See, mathematics is just one thing that whatever you do in the uni, you still end up doing
You
something
must-
related to.
I remember in secondary school, I was so
did
terrible at
statistics
maths.
too. I did not want to.
Remember, I was terrible at
mathematics.
maths in secondary school.
Of course,
I was terrible.
Of course.
I hated maths
You hated it. You
with
hated
a passion. I remember
Why?
in SS1 when we did biology, because the exam was a drawing this thing. I had the highest in the class that year. Now I had 57/60. I got one and I leave you and colored it because we drew. You get. And I thought I was in line for.
Don't think of it too far. We were the same. Trust me. You remember when? I mean, I can't even go like further math.
Geography now.
Oh man, you did your geography.
No, but I forgot that when everybody wanted to draw, it was me they would come to and they would pay
It
me.
would be you,
But
yeah,
I never
yeah,
did
yeah,
geography.
yeah.
So I had,
What was the
I
option?
had all my
Government,
work. I had all my work in geography lab, but
Oh
it was
my
not my
goodness.
work. So I just did that. I'm like, I did this for this guy, and they'll pay me like
Like-
50 now.
And the thing
I'll
about
buy
your drawings
bread and
are
buy.
there's always a
Fanta.
unique style. Like everyone
You
that
get-
sees your drawing, you can almost know.
They will know.
It's
So
always
it was,
nice and everything.
yeah.
Wow.
I didn't mask up because I didn't want to do maths, and yeah, I ended up doing
Master found
statistics. Massive, and I carried it over twice.
Jeez.
Like I carried it over twice. That's because I just,
Yo.
I think I just wish I knew that I had ADHD and a lot of a lot of the things I was bad at were setting me up for what I became good at. So like even the type of design that I do, I don't like to do editorial design because it has a lot of text. Anything that has, I have to edit text like magazine, book
Okay.
layout. So I stay away from those kind of projects. Or if I'm going to work on them, I would hire. You get a lot of my weaknesses. I sort of tailored it to now become my strength.
Wow.
I get distracted a lot. Has been translated into I can think almost endlessly because I go from here to here to here. So as growing up, like being a senior designer now, I've learned how to use my shortcomings as like my quote unquote superpower in a way. Because I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. So I intentionally stay away from So that's how I've been able to. That's why a lot of my work is very expressive. When I'm doing branding, it might be toned down, but you might see an interesting use of color or imagery, because I'm able to think very rapidly and freely. It's not a nice thing, but sometimes it can be nice.
How would you think of it as not nice?
Because
what would you see it as not nice?
See it as like you watch One Punch Man,
That's like anime, yeah?
the anime.
I know about
So
it, but I don't watch
his
it.
problem is that he can kill somebody in one punch. So I sort of see it as I have all this this thing. The maturity now comes when I can now like shut down and say, okay, I'm stopping here. It's like tap is flowing. And you now decide, okay, this is where So a lot of times when I'm working on a project, I know when to say, I've reached the end. Because if I don't do that, I'm going to just keep exploring and exploring. And so you have to be mature enough to say, you know what, this is the most okay version of this idea. Let me put it out there. But I'm also notorious for going back to projects and revisiting them. So a lot of stuff, I'll just go back and I'm like, oh, I did this that year. What would happen if I now incorporate 3D? You know, that kind of thing. And it allows you now, you're almost troubleshooting your old work and learning in real time what didn't work then and what works now. There's been projects where I had the idea in like 2016, but I didn't have the skill to be able to achieve it. So I had to go and learn 3D. Then when I finally learned 3D, I had to go and learn how to create avatars. When I learned that, I had to learn how to do hair. When I did hair, I had to learn how to do environments. By the time I was done, I was not able to create scenes where you have a full character that has personality and is wearing clothes. But those things took me stages. So there was a point where I was making 3D characters that did not have clothes. Not because I wanted them to be naked, but because I didn't know how to. So, but you remember that? I did. But remember that even when he didn't have clothes, I now designed it in a way that looked like it was intentional. Until the point where my character has now started wearing clothes. You get? So at every stage that I found myself in, I adapted it to work for me. You get, like, oh, I cannot do hair. My characters are going to be bald. Or I can now do, like, maybe add fire from Photoshop. Or I only have one pose. You know, your limitations. I've learned to use my limitations as my biggest strengths. You need to learn how to, like, okay, this is where I'm weak at. What if I change the narrative and say, I did this like this because of this? Like now, every time I use the bald character, I'll put a glowing circle behind and say it was energy, just to distract you from the fact that the character does not have hair. Once I now learned how to do hair, then started trying different things. And if you follow me online, you see how I'm progressing in real time. Because one day you just that my characters, they're no longer wearing clothes, they're now wearing like proper outfits. You just realize that before my characters used to do like this, now they are posing. Like you know when Niyi has finally learned how to do hair. You get, so I know this is just me having fun.
It's almost like anyone following you, it's almost like you're on a journey and we are following on that journey. What phase are you now? What are you exploring?
I'm so jaded with doing things that only exist on the web. Which is why I created this. I wanted to create a physical thing. We modeled it in 3D, but it's now like in person. I'm holding it. So I want to make more. I don't just say physical, but experiences that don't just exist on screens. Because as a designer, like, it's easy for you to get trapped in everything you're making is just on the internet. I want to make actual real world products, not products, but things that people can interface with. So merch, t-shirts, the chocolate idea, the album. The album is still a bit digital, but things that people can take into the real world. I think that's where I'm at now. And which is why I have two sides of my practice. The agency side that I have, Studio Really, that I'm working with my partner, and Sunflower Department, my own design lab, where I can now explore those physical items I want to do. I can say, oh, I want to work on a chair. I'll collaborate with somebody. It will be dropped under Sunflower Department. But if tomorrow GT Bank says they want to rebrand their entire product system, I can do that via Studio Really. And when my corporates, brand breakdown, color, typography, and that way I'm not this. You get. So when it's time to wear that, when it's time to be quote unquote Pharrell, I go into Sunflower Department. When it's time to go like Chris Doe, I go to Studio Really. So I have my expressions that align me, put things out into the world. And now Studio Really, what goes on here doesn't affect here, because there are two different entities. So I can do an album here that doesn't affect a project that I'm doing here, because it's a different realm. And with Sunflower Departments, as much as I'm going to also have partners that I'll work with, is more built around expression, while Studio Unreal is more built around service. So Studio Unreal was servicing people, was servicing brands, but software apartments is expression. So to give an example, the kind of clients I would want under software apartment would be then Adidas, Nike,
lifestyle,
Red Bull
experiences.
Yeah, exactly. Fireboy wants to launch his album.
Yeah.
Then Studio really will not have them. It still have some. You can have like some entertainment related things, but maybe branding for like native land, a festival. Strategy. Yeah, something that has something that really involves strategy, pretty much. Web experiences. We have a product team, so we can actually build products for companies.
Oh, really?
We have web, we can do web experiences. Yeah, we have product designers. You know, we have 3D designers. They don't work full time, but we have them as like we're working with them and collaborating. Then when we're ready to scale to that, because you don't want to just start and everybody's on salary. Then 2 months in, you've not got to the client.
Yep.
Like you can pace yourself and okay, this job came. We'll work with this guy.
Yeah.
I don't believe in having an office until you need to have an office.
Absolutely, 100%.
You get, because you just burn money on rent. And you know how Nigeria is. You're going to,
yeah.
So from now, like the studio will probably work from somebody's space or a co-working space. Then the more we build, and like we're plenty. We'll now build it. We'll now get a studio. From there, it can now turn to a multinational. But this is where we're starting from, and we've already done some stuff. The last street took, we did it at Studio really. The website to the branding and everything. Yeah.
Really?
We handled that. We did another one recently for Potte Festival. It was done in New York. So we did another Potte 24 Festival. So just stuff like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I would like to ask one particular question for our viewers and for our listeners. So in terms of building capacity and building skill, right, as a designer, I know you've grown, obviously. You started from what software did you start using first?
Fireworks.
Okay, you mentioned Fireworks, even though I can't really.
Yeah, Fireworks.
Design. But was Fireworks a design software?
It was. You could use it for like web pages, but I was using it. Unfortunately, again, it goes back to me, my limitation and making it work for me. Also, I think you're using it to do web pages, but I ended up using it to do magazine covers. I don't know why, because I didn't know how to use Photoshop. So I just found a way to
that actually makes sense. That makes sense.
So normally when you are done with Fireworks, normally when you are done with the images, you can now add like I think links and co. So may I just use it to a certain level and stopped there, because that's what me I did.
Got it.
You get
just like the way we
I could have taken it
or Microsoft Word to design stuff and then just leave it and just print it. Or create something with it and just leave it at that. You don't have to.
But normally it's not for that purpose. But
exactly, not for that purpose. Okay.
So
how did you evolve into using all this complicated software now?
I use them in phases. So again, I didn't start learning photography until I needed to use pictures for my work.
So it came as
a lot of stuff. Yes, and add on to what I was already doing. So that's why a lot of the. And when you're done doing that, you now realize that you have tools that you use in an integrated way. Let me give an example now. I started off using Photoshop Designer. Then I needed images. So I started doing photography. Then photography, because I needed to physically be there. I needed a way to mimic photography but still do realism. That's where 3D came in. My graphic design, I needed to animate it. That's why I entered After Effects. I needed to cut videos. Premiere Pro. I needed to add graphics for the videos that I was cutting. Go back to After Effects to cut graphics. Now, my 3D stuff that I'm rendering, I needed to also add some effects to it. Use After Effects. I needed to retouch the 3D renderings. Photoshop. I needed to add like logo and this thing. Illustrator. So a lot of softwares I know how to use, they all complement each other. And because there's so many tools, I've picked the ones that work for me. And I picked them in terms of like the industry slash skill set. So for 3D now, I know how to use Cinema 4D for my basic 3D stuff. Then I use Daz for my characters.
You did mention Daz. I was curious about
Daz.
the things you were doing
Yes.
with Daz then. I'm
Then
sure
I
you
now
pushed
use
the limit of that
Blender.
Daz. You did push the limit of that
Bro,
Daz.
I learned. It was so interesting that I picked up Daz in March. By June, the creators of the software reached out to me to do a collaboration on a. So they designed a new character and gave me access to the character for free.
I know I used
for
to
me
ask
do
you, where
anything
do
I
you get these
wanted.
characters? You just take one character,
Yeah.
start spinning it, start.
And the thing with Daz is that you can have a base model and now be adjusted. So you can make it do a
Adjusting
big
it.
nose.
Yeah.
So you can have like 8 different characters from one character because you're just
Character.
sliding. It's like Sims. You're sliding stuff. So a lot of softwares I know how to use. I don't just learn them. Like I learn them to incorporate them with other things,
In your work.
which is how I become
Wow.
multidisciplinary.
Damn.
You get. But if you deep it, I don't have full knowledge of those softwares. I just have what I need
them,
from
what
that
you
particular
need.
software. So I don't go far. Like with After Effects now, I don't enter all those heavy VFX. I just use it more for like motion graphics and some things. If I need to now learn that side, I now go heavy. But I didn't learn everything at once. So to younger designers, like, don't get pressured. Pick the ones you want to learn, then incorporate it around it. So again, if you're somebody who wants to do branding, our advice, learn Illustrator first. If you want to go more of the graphic editing, photo manipulation, learn Photoshop first. If you want to go into filmmaking, learn more of Premiere Pro and After Effects. By the time you've learned Premiere Pro, you've learned how to cut, chances are you will come back to Photoshop and Illustrator because your videos will need title cards. They will need thumbnail. They will need what's that thing? Lower third. That's where you and After Effects. You can create graphics in After Effects, but ideally the graphics that you animate usually come from Illustrator and Photoshop. You prepare them with those apps, they now take it to After Effects to now make it move and all those things. So just think of it as how do these things, it's like making a meal. Rice is this, so how can you learn this thing in pockets, then find a way to incorporate them? All these things now end up showing in things like Mr. Color, where I've done the 3D character it does. I've taken it to cinema for it to do environment. Then I wanted to animate some glitch effects. I'll now carry it to After Effects and add all those glitch effects. Then the poster for it, I'll now do it in Photoshop. That's where all these things come into
So
play.
many software.
Yeah.
So
many, man.
In terms of so this for me, one thing that stands out for me in all these things you're saying is your dedication and your passion, right? And
Yes.
I mean the reason
Curiosity.
why I invited you, I found you as someone that is like a perfect example of what this podcast is about, is the passion.
Yeah.
Like even a blind person can see the passion you have. How many hours in a day do you spend designing? Niyi. This is a serious question.
You see, this is the one that I won't advise a lot of people. I'm introverted, number one.
Yeah.
I'm very introverted, so I almost don't go out. And if you consider how the landscape of Nigeria is now, there's almost no incentive to go out, just based on many things. So again, it goes back to my personality.
Yeah.
I'm able to like work long hours and just be doing design constantly because I'm curious. It's something I enjoy. The bad side of it is that it's sort of been intertwined into my personality.
Yeah.
An example would be when I'm bored, I tend to go and design. When I want to work, you get what I'm saying? When I was work, I tend to go and design. But
When you're bored, you design. When you want to work, you
you
design.
get but
So,
but the thing is, when I'm bored, I'm now not. I'm not. It's not like I'm working on client work. It's when I'm bored that you now see those experiments. That's me having fun. That's why I say I don't take myself serious in those situations, because if it was work, like I'm still working in the physical sense, but I've tricked myself in the mental sense that this is play, and it's actually play because I'm just having fun. but I don't put pressure on myself. Like once it's time to, okay, guy, I'm actually done. I step away. I don't like, oh, I have to do this for 12 hours. I've experimented enough. Let me go and play.
What is play to you? What do you do to unwind or relax?
Play games. I play games a lot. I play games. Mostly FIFA, Cyberpunk, Ghost of Tsushima,
You
Far
play Ghost of
Cry.
Tsushima. Nice.
I finished Ghost of Tsushima like 5 times.
And hard?
Like lethal mode where if they stab you twice, you are dead.
Jeez.
And that thing made me learn how to parry. Like I know how to parry Ghost of Tsushima now.
I haven't.
Ghost of Tsushima taught me patience.
Well,
when I played the harder,
it does teach you.
It does.
Some parts you
does.
literally move an inch, you're
kill
gone. You're gone.
They will kill you.
You're
So
gone.
yeah,
Wow.
I play games. Music is another one. I love music.
What are you listening to now?
Man. Man. Afrobeats definitely. I think I started liking Afrobeats from COVID era. Like I used to be one of those people that used to form Nigerian music is like but now like
Bro.
like
Who are you jamming?
Afrobeats. Man, bro. Everybody from Davido, Burna, Ayomath, Zlatan, Mobad,
Lovely.
rest in peace.
Yeah.
Who if I can just talk about him briefly,
Bro.
like I tried everything in my power to try and work with this guy.
Wow.
Like I actively reached out to people. I was like, yo,
love that.
see,
I mean, rest in peace, Mobad.
He's-
I loved him so much.
he's such a. I think this is why I loved him the most is that he perfected social commentary. Mobad will touch on topics that are happening in a very. You can just say that Mobad was one of those Omoadubo that they will just come and talk about maybe they will talk to you and they will just talk about maybe politics, but in a
Like
very
his consciousness level was different.
yeah,
was
but in a
almost
very
operating at a
consumable
wavelength.
Yes. In a very social commentary way that you will just laugh, but when you
Yeah.
deep what he's saying, you be like,
It's
oh,
deep. Even his
It's
lyrics.
deep,
bro,
like this
have you
guy-
listened to his lyrics?
yes. Now there's a song he has with Zlatan where he said, he said even them Nepa they don't even have lights. Like even them Nepa that never has
Really?
He said I will Nepa on Nino, like they don't have lights.
100. Man, I swear, no, that guy's.
He said,
was.
No, it was. I got my wishes in a way because I ended up doing his obituary design,
Lovely.
which was ironic. I wanted to work with somebody,
The
but-
actual official.
Yes,
visual design.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
Kudos, bro.
yes.
Kudos, bro. Nice one. Nice
yes.
one.
And it was I didn't even ask for money.
I think I made one of your pictures my header on Twitter for a while.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think
Yeah,
it's
like
there.
for me, I didn't even want to. Yeah, I didn't want to get paid. I was just like, this is what I can do for this guy. You know.
Yeah. I think you also approach design in terms of like philanthropy, like giving back. Because I know you were very
yes.
active during NSAS. I know you were very, very.
Oh yes.
Almost every day you're like creating a poster, creating
I was like,
something.
I can't.
Yeah.
What can I do?
What can you
I'm
do?
sitting down in the house.
Yeah.
You get what's the lowest hanging fruit I
Yeah,
can do?
you are not the one
I
that's
do not
on
have
the
to
street
do
carrying
design.
placards and stuff. So
And
rather
the thing
than
is, I even went to protest.
really,
But around that period, I took pictures too. I took pictures
Really?
because around
I think
that
I saw
period,
one
for some
picture,
reason,
yeah.
I felt, I
it's
felt
just
sick,
like,
and I thought, I think-
where's your biggest audience, right? Like expression.
Yeah.
That was how I saw it. Because when I started seeing your post, I was like,
Twitter.
yeah, you're doing great. Like, yeah, like Twitter is
Twitter,
like,
I was like,
this
you
way
know
the
what?
conversations.
it's low hanging
Move
fruit.
faster.
I can just keep creating, and again, that because I had no, I didn't take myself too serious
Too seriously.
in that.
Too seriously.
Like it was, this is for NSAS. It's not about me. So
about
I didn't need to create super graphical work. I just had to create work that was communicating.
That was coming.
So you notice that I would just use maybe a horn, then I'll put this thing, then put the text. Because I knew if I took my time and I was doing beautiful,
design.
it wasn't about beautiful.
Nah.
It was about communicating in a way that people can now, because they were using propaganda against us. So basically, I was fueling our own propaganda machine and just putting out images on Twitter. And I was like, you know what? I suppose I put all of them in a Google Drive. Like just go and download it for free and use it.
Yeah.
Don't tag me. I don't need you to tag me. I didn't put my name on it. All I put there was enter. So don't tag me. Just use it. That's why we even gave out free designs for merch that got printed.
Wow.
You know, I like doing that too. Like you said, one thing I do a lot because I am passionate about mental health. I tend to either do pro bono or give discounts when it comes to mental health led projects. Not that you want to brand your organization, and no, like maybe you want to like for now I did an exhibition where we donated to a hospital to have our works. So I just gave it out, like I didn't want to get paid. So all those kind of things. And again, I'm comfortable enough at where I am to do that. I'm not advising any other person to do that. I can do that freely because I know where my money is coming from. I know how I'm going to eat. I sorted out. So this is my way of, low hanging fruits. It doesn't cost me. Wow. All it takes is my time, and I'm willing to give that time to just give that thing back. But I try and find ways to the things I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And I do this thing where I ask a lot of questions, like, okay, I do this where what would, like the NASRDA project that I did, the branding one for the space one, I was asking myself, what would the...
I mean, obviously, that was a passion project.
Yes, it was passion project.
That looks...
What would the Nigerian space... What would the Nigerian Space Agency look like if it was still functioning?
Nigeria had one. Oh, that's true. We launched the rocket.
Nigeria has one.
I mean,
we have one. We have a space agency.
Satellite. We do.
Yes, we have a space agency. It's just that we don't use it for space. Like we use it for space, but we're not going to space. Like a lot of this technology can be used to map out locations. Exactly. So there are other uses for it. But we definitely have a space. We have a space. Let me know a space agency, but a space department, I think.
Wow.
That has to do with space and research.
That was an interesting project.
I really love it. I'm still going to go back.
Oh yeah, to continue it.
Yeah. It's a continuous
project.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine that. So like just that kind of project now, you've already positioned yourself for if that opportunity ever comes up, you are like rich.
I'm not going to say too much, but let me just say that
has it come
I've
up?
had conversations. No, it hasn't, but I've had conversations with people that can link that opportunity.
Wow.
Which is why I keep telling people that the future work you want to do, create a fake project of it now. Because it does two things. It prepares you for that project, and it also shows the people that might give you that project that, see, I've done something in this realm. So I'm not a stranger to this. All right, now, me doing all this super... me doing all this super ego concept and this thing. I'm looking for that when they finally say they want you guys. And if that never happens, I've still done a personal project that made me happy. But it's still in line. So you get, like, if you notice the period, I did a chocolate brand. I did ice cream. I did
I remember I did ice cream.
I did Scoop. I did Skyline. The airline one, the airline branding. I did Skyline. I did Broccoli. Broccoli was the marijuana led 420. So you get, nobody's asking me to do these things, but I'm keep asking myself, what would a marijuana company do? Yes, it was not real.
Oh,
it was not real. It was not real.
Yeah.
I did the hotel, that Royal
Skylink.
Skylink was basically a conversation of, if Nigeria had an airline carrier that matched the level of Pan Am, what would it look like? Pan Am was this American airline that was known for its beautiful branding. Like, if you go and check Pan Am, every airline branding, I feel like that's the standard. That year, like, it was just so beautiful. So like, what would the Nigerian airline carrier look like if we adopted like design principles?
How did you manage your, attention span? For me, like, once you open Instagram, it's like an endless loop of content.
So my attention span on Instagram is shit, but again, I already know it's shit, but what I've done is I've curated the content I consume.
Okay.
So I actively seek out So again, I use Instagram like Behance.
Okay.
Do you know that Instagram has a following count? You have a limit to who you can follow.
Really?
Yes, 75.
Whoa! Did you exceed it? Did you meet it?
Yes. Yes.
Jesus.
Yes.
You did what?
Yes, I had to unfollow some people because of that.
You follow 7,500.
Check my Instagram. I followed 7,343 now.
What? I'm just seeing this. Whoa.
Yeah, because I and a lot of them are creatives.
I bet.
I follow a lot. So
bet.
it's even this attention span thing. If I'm going to have attention span issues, let me be consuming the stuff that is good for my work. You get
that's
so I'm like, you know what, I
so
cannot hack this attention span thing because Instagram has at least close to 100 engineers trying to hack our attention.
Yep.
I'm not going to win. Zuckerberg is burning money on it.
Yep.
But if I can make sure that what I see it educates me in a way, I'm good. I won't lie to you. Sometimes I go on Instagram just for brain to destroy my brain, like Shade Room, Insta blog. That's when I'm bored. You get like today. We're not consuming creative. We just want to look at gossip. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, there's a place.
And there's times where and there's times where I want to just look at creative works.
Yeah,
I feed off a lot of people's I get inspiration from looking at people's works.
Yeah.
So, man, absolutely. And I'm always very I'm envious in like in a very good way. My envy now is no longer toxic ways like it's not like man, this guy did this thing. I'm going to try and attempt and see if I can learn this thing. And how can I before I used to compare myself with all these damn Shade and Elimika. I want to do this. Now I'm not. There's no best designer. There's no ultimate crown for best designer. It doesn't exist.
No.
I just want to look at my peers and get inspired by them.
Right.
I want to do work that inspires them. In their own thoughts, they will inspire me. I was doing Ronaldo and Messi. As at that point, they needed each other.
Yep.
I don't think Messi would have gone that hard if Ronaldo didn't.
Nope, and vice versa.
And I don't think Ronaldo would have gone that. You get these guys always need each other. Batman and Joker need each other.
Absolutely.
Batman and Joker, they need each other. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
So this is how I see all these my peers. Like I see what they are doing. I'm like, whoa, this stuff you're doing is really good. I'm inspired by it.
Good.
Somebody starts an agency. If you can do an agency, then I should want to do an agency now.
Absolutely.
But not that you did an agency, so my agency is better than yours. No. I'm inspired by you. And there's the market is open, like
the sky's the limit.
You can make money. There's so many clients. There's so many industries. There's gaming. There's even sex. And it doesn't have to be like the vulgar kind. You can end up creating branding for like a condom company or a chocolate company that doubles as Afro. Like there's so many industries you can work in.
Right.
You know?
This has been refreshing. This has been, I'm sure, for our listeners and viewers as well. They've enjoyed these conversations. We could go on and on, to be honest, but we must wrap up soon. So for Niyi, on this podcast, we always have like a parting question. So a parting question is, what are you doing currently to become a better version of yourself?
Is this work or as a human being?
Could be any work.
Okay. I think with work, I'm constantly trying to learn every day. Design is iteration, so you're always going to revisit things. So I'm always learning every day how I can be better at my craft. I'm learning more how to collaborate with more people. Like the formula that I've created with Ife, I want to see I can create that with most people so that I'm collaborating with most people. I would say I'm constantly practicing, asking questions, reading up on things. As a human being, I think I'm such a very anxious person in terms of I'm always thinking of the future, but I'm learning to live in the present moments because you're thinking of a future that has not been promised. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So the most I can do is take each day for what it is and see how I can make the most of the day. I think one thing that I've come to realize is that planning is a very essential skill. Like, you need to learn how to plan things, because you're going to wake up one day and 2 years have passed,
bro.
and you cannot visibly chart your process, your progress. You know. So I now, like, in the past, I wasn't very intentional with my days. It's just that luckily I was very productive. But now I'm starting to ask myself, imagine what I can achieve if I actually map out that today I'm going to get this stuff. Because a lot of times, at least then, I will just start my day and freestyle into it. So something that should take like an hour will end up taking 5 hours because I'm distracted. But when you plan and know that, okay, this will be allocated at this time, then take a break. Now, I have breaks, so a new policy is after 6 o'clock. If it's clients, I don't work on clients work again after 6 o'clock.
Wow,
because I've closed.
That's new. That is new.
Because I've closed.
Wow.
If I'm working after 6 o'clock, it's personal work.
Okay.
It's personal work that maybe I want to practice. If I'm working after 6 o'clock, maybe I want to practice personal work on my work times.
Because it does.
100%. No, 100%. No, you have to.
Yeah, you have to prioritize.
You have to, because you have to. Yeah. You have to step away from work. You can't be that guy that.
Yeah.
You will know.
Yeah.
You know when your partner is feeling like work is taking.
Yeah.
I don't feel like your own days is even easier because there's a structure based on marriage. Like already, you guys you're not boyfriend and girlfriend again. It's marriage. Like, you have to give me some of your time because we are building a family together. And these things are you need to learn them now because you're going to have kids. Or if you want to have kids, let me not assume. If you want to have kids, you cannot be working all the time. You end up becoming the workaholic father that did not take care of his child. Then all of a sudden, your son, you have to find a balance. I will leave you with an example that Eminem gave that I really love. Akon said he went to go and record Smack That for Eminem in the studio, and he showed up by 4 o'clock thinking they will walk into the night. By the time it was 6 o'clock or something, Eminem said he's going home. Akon said, I just get it. He said that, that he has to go now. That he has closed from work now. That he closes by 6 o'clock.
Wow.
It's like, but Eminem, like, it's music. Like, no, that is work, bro.
Damn.
If you think about it, in the past, you could not carry your tools home. Are you going to carry the factory thing home? You literally have to drop everything, go home, then come back.
Yeah.
It's just one of technology that you might be about to board a flight and the client is saying they need to make a change and you're checking your email.
Yeah. It wasn't that way.
Normally, in the olden days, it wasn't that easy. Obviously, I know that technology has come and these are not the olden days anymore, but try and take some element of that and realize that before I used to work on Saturday and Sunday, before I used to pick calls after 10 o'clock, and I just realized that it's because I'm not married or my partner is not living with me.
Yeah.
At 10 o'clock, you're in bed. Is when you must be picking. Hello, sir, we need to change logo. But what are we doing here?
Exactly.
What are we doing here? There's some people that will call me that I work with. They will call me at 12 o'clock because they used to know in the past I used to be awake. You can't just assume I'll be awake at 12 o'clock. That is a very dangerous game you're playing.
Yeah.
You cannot assume that. You think I won't sleep?
Yeah. I mean, you give them.
Forget all this.
You give them the
impression.
Yeah, the initial.
Yes, now, but now I'm older now. I have more responsibility. I'm thinking like, then I'm like, if clients should call me at 10 o'clock, I'll grind. No, sorry.
Yeah.
If the world is going to be here tomorrow, we will attempt it tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Obviously, there are situations where it's crunch time and I know that, okay, I have to burn the midnight oil. Then you compensate for that.
Yep.
And that's why you will pay premium or you pay this thing. If you come later, you want your stuff in 5 days. If it can be done in 5 days, you will pay express. If it cannot be done, sorry.
Yeah.
Go and meet somebody else.
Yeah.
I got a recent project, so I was just like, I'm not doing this project. Sorry. Thank you for reaching out to me, but I'm not interested.
Yeah.
The project was going to bring money, but in my mind, the money that I've made, that I'm going to make from now to December, I've done like is okay.
Yeah.
If I make extra, I'm doing a schedule and it's still fine.
Okay.
But if I don't make anything, if nothing comes from now, I've sorted out myself for the year.
Right.
And being in that position, it affords you actually to be able to rest. You don't now have to work because I know there's some jobs you can actually turn down. Because some jobs you take that will cost your mental health.
There you go.
Because you are burnt out.
Yeah.
I was burnt out like 2 months, like a month ago.
Oh.
I was forming up, and I just realized that a simple project that I could have done in a month, I just ended up, and this me being transparent, I had to refund the clients.
Wow.
Because another big project now came in the midst.
Wow.
And another project that, so I just burnt out. Like I could not even, I burnt out, and the person I wanted to work with me is somebody that they really loved my work. And I was so comfortable refunding because I knew that I had let that person down in some way. You get, like I knew I had let that person down. For some days I was feeling bad.
Relationship, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I apologized. I said, you know what, this thing that, you know what, I will take this.
Yeah.
But I will never let it rub me in a way that I would think, Niyi, you're a bad designer. No, you've had a bad experience.
Yeah, it's just a bump.
The work was good, but it was just, it arrived too late. Like it arrived late.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to, because I knew the client was a client that really liked my work.
Yeah.
I was trying to give them like the best version, but I just could not at that particular moment. Like I could not perform at that moment. And I took it as, you know what, this is a lesson now. Clearly now, you need to like step back and let go of some responsibilities. You can't do everything alone. You need to collaborate with people. You would think you don't want to leave money on the table. They want to pay me $6,000, and out to me, if I don't hire anybody, I can make the whole $6,000. You will be better off making 4K or 3K and splitting the rest to some other people that will make your work easier.
Yeah.
You get, so I don't buy into the idea of I want to do everything again. That's why these days now collaboration is my.
Yep.
I can't do this. Who can do this? This is where you come in. How much do you want to charge? Okay, this is we agree, and we do the project.
Yeah.
If it's the agency route, we're going to contract you for so months. You understand? Like I don't have to do everything alone.
Yeah.
There's some projects that I've deflected and directed to other designers that take. All the younger designers in my network, I'm always deflecting work that I cannot handle and say, okay, I know somebody that can do it.
Wow, fantastic, Niyi, fantastic. I'm so
Yeah.
I mean, this conversation, I'm so glad we had it. I'm so inspired
for sure.
myself to go and do more. And I can only wish you all the best with your future project.
Thanks, man.